Ratchet and Clank has always been a unique series. It came out during a time that a game like this should have been a platformer collectathon. Ty the Tasmanian Tiger, Sly Cooper, Jak and Daxter, Super Mario Sunshine, all of these games focus on exploring levels and collecting items by completing objectives. Ratchet and Clank said, nah, let's skip that. And there are still things to collect, sure, but it's not the main focus at all. The focus of the gameplay is straight up action shooting with some light puzzle solving, sure, but mostly tons of enemies to destroy and bullets to avoid and some really fun platforming. Clank is a robot that's labeled as defective, so he's on the run, and Ratchet is a Lombax, just chilling on his home planet. Also, did y'all know Lombaxes aren't even real animals? They're made up for this game. This whole time I've been thinking, when am I gonna go to the zoo and look at Lombaxes? There are no Lombaxes. I'd probably be looking at the squirrels like, look at that, a Lombax. Lombax. Together, Ratchet and Clank team up to take down this guy. I don't remember his name, but he's going around invading planets and stealing their resources and using them to build his own planet for his race. The story is decent. It's nothing mind-blowing, but it's a fun time with a bunch of interesting and colorful characters. Ratchet and Clank have a unique relationship, since most of these games feature friendship and getting along with your buddies, being funny together and having brotherhood or whatever. Ratchet and Clank straight up hate each other for almost all of the game, since Clank is like, we need to find Quark to help us. Quark is this famous superhero, and most of the first half of the game is spent looking for him, and when they finally find him, they find out he's evil and he tries to kill them. This causes Ratchet to blame and resent Clank, and they just hate each other for the rest of the game. And man, Ratchet is a bitch. Ratchet is probably one of the most unlikable main characters ever for almost all of this game.
Perhaps the extra oxygen will help your brain to function properly.
Yeah, and maybe the salt water will rust your mouth shut.
I don't even say anything because I don't want it to be a fight. But tonight, I've had it. I'm sick of it.
And that's a brave way to introduce your main duo for your new entry in a new series. But it works. I was always interested in the way Ratchet didn't want to be a hero. He just wanted to get cool gear and then go home, and Clank would find information and keep it a secret from Ratchet, and Clank, and then Ratchet would be like, yeah, you would keep it a fucking secret, dick. And I'd be like, damn, don't talk shit to him. Look at the little face he made. It's saying. It's refreshing, and in the end, when they finally make amends and work together to defeat the final boss guy, it's gratifying and exciting to anticipate what's next for the duo. The levels all consist of you exploring different planets with a list of objectives. There's branching paths and secrets, and some areas are locked until you go to another planet to find a new piece of tech and then go back to the last planet that you were at and finally visit the new area. And it helps that every area, every planet slaps. Even the ones that kind of look similar at first end up having their own identity. There's this planet with skyscraper cities with flying traffic, exploding bridges, obstacle courses, big boobed robots. This bright green grassy planet with open fields and sewers to explore. This planet with a city to explore and a small desert filled with little biting creatures. This other city with tanks and straight up war and a racing minigame. A lava planet with fun platforming. This other city with an even worse war situation going on but fun rails to grind on. A beach planet with tons of swimming and skyboats to ride and a war jet to fly. And that's just scratching the surface. Sometimes they give you so many planets to explore, it can feel overwhelming knowing where to even go next. The gameplay itself is almost perfect. Platforming consists of the usual running and jumping, but you also got this helipack, a swinging thing, a sucky swinging thing, a thrust jump, a double jump. You mix all these together and man, the gameplay is just a good time. But then there's the shooting. There are so many guns and they all have different uses. You got your regular pistols, guns that charge up, guns that suck up enemies and shoot them out, gloves that drop little guys that blow up other guys, and many more. You can even customize the rate of fire for each gun, the color of the gun, do the bullets explode, which means they shoot slower, or do they just like kind of hit the enemy, which means they shoot faster. You can buy them by finding bolts literally everywhere in every level, and for the most part, the mix of shooting with platforming makes a really fun experience. But then you keep playing. There are two things I really don't like in this game. First of all is the lack of a lock-on, which means you get some of the strongest weapons in the game, but they feel useless against some of these flying enemies or some other enemies because you aim with the right stick, but it's more of just turning around and spraying and praying. A lot of the guns do auto-lock to enemies as you shoot, but when they don't, it makes it unfair because you die repeatedly by an enemy that you can't hit. When you try shooting the bullet, it just goes in a random direction that you were looking at, and looking through scopes is a nightmare. It gets really frustrating, especially with how much the game throws at you later on. The other thing I really don't like are the Clank missions. Clank explores this toxic planet and this space station, and instead of being combat focused, his levels are puzzle focused, quote unquote. But these aren't really puzzles. You just go around finding these little robots so you can command them to fight for you, and then you send them into these little doorways to open the next area, and then you do it again and again and again. It gets repetitive pretty quickly, and I'll admit they do try to change it up by adding little obstacles and a couple of extra puzzles in there based on you commanding them around. But anytime I had to play as Clank in this game, I was already playing for 2 to 3 hours, and at this point I would be like, okay, maybe I'll take a break and come back to this later. Overall, for a first entry, not only is this just as impressive as the other first entries, but it goes for its own identity, and I think it nails it. Having the game be less focused on being a collectathon and being a straight up action shooter with 2 adorable creatures who team up but hate each other and explore lots of planets together, it works. And this one is gonna get an 8 out of 10 from me. And I'm just gonna say this right now, I've already played the next game, Ratchet & Clank Going Commando growing up. I played that one a lot. It's a 10 out of 10. That's all I'm gonna say right now. I'm gonna spoil that video for you guys because it's gonna be minutes on minutes of me just busting to that game, just nutting to that game, and I'm really excited to go back and play it. But yeah, expect some of that for whenever that video comes out. And this one, what did I say? Did I say it already? 8 out of 10? Yeah, 8 out of 10. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.